how a person can build India's largest community.
I am Aditya, the co-founder of the product folks.
My name is Tanishq. I run community called as the Indian Startup Community.
What motivated you to start this?
I had nothing much to do in weekends. I realized that let's start doing events at first, right?
You are the person who has burst the bubble. इतनी engaging community कैसे बना दिया?
So the only job of a community manager is to curate the right room.
Most communities die because they don't offer enough, right?
How do I get a support from you guys?
You should just learn how to ask.
The network.
No, just ask.
Communities क्या helpful सही है? Two guys have changed the Indian community ecosystem. These two people, one who has built India's largest product managers community, and second who has built Indian entrepreneur investor community. These people are working from last 5 years to really build an ecosystem which supports the young entrepreneurs and obviously the matured entrepreneurs. Aditya, who has built Asia's largest product management community, and Tanishq, who has built Indian startup community. I have personally known them and they have really done a great work in their ecosystem. Every entrepreneur, every investor, every founder knows them by their name. This podcast is going to be very helpful for anybody who wants to build communities and they want to scale communities in a new niche, a very hyper-personalized niche, or they want to make sure that they add value to the Indian ecosystem. They have talked very raw and they have been very unfiltered when they spoke about how you are a solopreneur and how you can scale your business by leveraging this community. How can you get access to top 1% founders and investors? And the best part, they have also given a framework to make sure that you are confident enough to reach out to anybody in the world saying that, hey, I need your help for this. Trust me, this is for every product managers, investors, entrepreneurs, and we have also covered how AI will be leveraged in community management ecosystem. Season 2 has been super successful because of your support and your love. So please guys, subscribe to the channel because my team is working really hard to get such guests on the show, and they have been working every single day to get you value and transform good founders to great. So Aditya and Tanishq are here and I'm really proud that I'm sitting with people who have built the largest communities in the country. So thank you so much to bless this podcast. Today's podcast context should be very simple. How a person can build India's largest community, right? So the podcast should be value add. बहुत सिंपल सी बात है कि जो भी देख रहा है उनको अगर कम्युनिटी बनानी है, जैसे मुझे बनानी है एआई की कम्युनिटी, कैसे कोई एक अप्रोच रख सकता है, कैसे वो स्टार्ट कर सकता है, एंड आई थिंक यू गाइस हैव बिल्ड विदाउट अ सिंगल रूपी, राइट? सो कांग्रेचुलेशंस ऑन दैट. So give me a 1 minute pitch because people who don't know you, right? So at least they know you, like what are you building and what is the vision and what is the passion that you're building this?
Aditya can go first.
Perfect. I'll go. Yash, super kind. First of all, love the content that you do. And thanks for inviting. And especially since both of us know each other, doing
Really
this with all three of us, amazing. I'm Aditya. I'm the co-founder of the product folks. We started this community in 2019. Been building for people who like to build products. Started from offline events, scaled it to online during COVID out of no choice, but turned out to be a huge blessing. Started going global, started doing courses, started helping people get hired, network better with each other, stuff like that. And right now we are one of the world's largest product communities.
Wow.
Community of over 200,000 plus product builders spread across the globe. When we started, it was a community entirely present in India, but now building from India for the world. So super happy to be in this journey, doing this entirely volunteer led. So super pumped for everything that's in front of us. But yeah, that's what we do.
So what motivated you to start this?
So honestly, I'll be super honest. There was no eureka moment back when I was a product manager, and I had nothing much to do in weekends. I realized that let's start doing events at first, right? Because we were product managers and we didn't have another other product managers to network with, right?
Right.
To hang out with. So we thought let's bring interesting people in the mix and organize smaller events, right? First event I still remember around some 10, 12 people showed up, right? A smallish event here in Mumbai, Bangalore. We started doing it in more cities, but initially these two cities. Those were the beginnings. We didn't think of it much. We just thought that we'll find ourselves to be busy over weekends while also learning a bit more from people who are pioneers.
So have you taken a work experience in other companies, other product companies? Because I know for a fact that you're coming from a BMS background.
Yeah, yeah.
So you are the person who has burst the bubble. Product managers ban sakte hai hum
Right.
without tech background. So if
Right.
you can throw a light on that.
Honestly, when I was in college, even though my course was BMS, I started learning how to code, and I was running my own startup back then. So product came very natural to me, and I joined a company called Emeritus. Back then, it was a company which not many people knew of, but currently it's one of India's largest techs, and was fortunate enough to be part of the early journey. Was one of the first few people in the company. Was the first PM there. So saw tons of things being shipped, saw real value, real scale there. So it was a crazy journey, but I did have experience. I worked at a company called Price Hour right out of college, loved the founder, worked very closely with him, directly cold DM'd him straight out of college and started working with him. Then Emeritus happened, and that's when we started building product folks, and then we graduated into building this eventually. So
Wow,
yeah.
amazing. Tanish, you want to go now?
Uh, 1/10 the size of product folks.
No,
But,
being about it, but yeah.
but I think I started with a simple inspiration from, in fact, a lot from product folks. Suhas, his co-founder, was one of the first guys I told about that, hey, you know what, I'm starting this community. Community क्या ही था, WhatsApp का एक group बनाया था हमने, हम उसको community बुलाते थे. But my name is Tanish. I run this community called as the Indian Startup Community. The name gives it away that the idea was that the entire startup ecosystem, while is a very small sort of ecosystem where everyone knows everyone, in fact, everyone knows of everyone. The idea and the intent was, can we bring high quality, high intent people together? And when that happens, there is always a high leverage activity which will come out, right? It also started with a personal insight that when I was a founder, I realized that there was always this fight for getting a seat on the table, right? एक नया founder है, बाहर से आया है, tier 2, tier 3, wherever, right? There was always this fight.
Right.
I'm like, I already was struggling through that fight. Ki, yaar, if I had a better network, if I had known better people, right? I would have done something differently. I would have better context. I would have better knowledge.
Right.
I would have better access to bunch of things, right? Capital, this, that. So I was like, I don't want to fight for the seat on the table. Let me just create a table of my own and invite people over. Let's see what happens. Started with this small mix in Bombay, where I belong from, and unassumingly कि Bombay में कोई community तभी बात भी नहीं करता था. Now that the ecosystem.
So were you also COVID baby?
In fact, much after that, 22 is where we started the community. It's been 2 years-ish, 2.5 years, right? Since the community, the first event, 25 people, one small car social, I remember, in Bombay, right? From there to now, we've done 94 events. Wow. 25,000 members. We're one of the largest communities in the founder, investor,
Space.
Creator sort of a space, right? While a bunch of other folks also exist, but at least in our niche, we've been able to sort of probably make a name for ourselves, right? About 5.5, 6,000 attendees, 14 cities, 4 countries now. So we've done pretty much, the last 2 years, I've been literally on the road, in the flight, just going around, building community, learning. And yeah, I've been grateful to just get support from amazing people who've just supported the fact that, and my intent and literally a very pure intent of bringing high quality people together. It is a non-profit which we run. We've never tried to profit out of this as sort of a business, as most communities try to do.
Right.
I think the real essence of community is lost when you try to do that. Of course, you have to sustain it. So sponsors, etc. We've had about more than 40, 45 odd sponsors who we've worked with, right, to ensure that the community sustains. But yeah, that's a quick sort of.
So tell me about your background also, right? Like how is your education journey, corporate background? Like how did you come to this?
No corporate background, no education journey. I'm a dropout out of NMIMS. Never worked, in corporates ever. I've always worked on my own businesses. Come from a background of family business. So we were in the surveillance space. So we used to do a lot of imports, etc. in China. In fact, that helps me a lot now with the new business which I started, which, by the way, it's a plug, but I'm started a brand in the nail care space called as Nail in It, right? And a lot of the knowledge which I have previously with dealing from China, etc., helps me. But ever since I was 17, 18, was into business, in the family business, then moved on to start a drone tech company.
Wow.
So we were serving fairly high sort of authorities, government, etc., for a lot of their surveillance and drone products. And we are also doing a lot of like we used to run like a drone training academy. Cut to sold off a majority chunk of that business, made some money off that. Moved out. This entire tech wave had also started coming in. Did a couple of stints in tech, learned tech. By learned, I mean I understood the process of front end, back end. Right. I had zero, like while I wanted to get into tech, I had zero clue कि front end क्या होता है, back end क्या होता है, वो भी नहीं पता था at that point. UI, API क्या होती है, कुछ भी नहीं पता था. But I realized that I'm good at design. तो उसको अच्छा समझ आया, उसको UI UX बोलते हैं तो समझा. Learned it, had a knack for design ever since, like from the time being. I always had a knack for good design.
Right.
So anything which I do in life will always have a component of design, and I consider myself at like a designer in some sense, not a illustrator, but like just a creative person, right? So I've always been that creative person in anything which I have been doing, which should be visually sort of aesthetic, right? Did a couple of stints. Then in just post COVID, every business wanted to sort of go online. Looked at the small business sort of a market ki kya ho raha hai, and this Dukaan tech platforms were becoming very apparent and were growing, right? They raised some capital here and they were like, let's build that. So like it's small business के लिए app बनाना है, क्या ही नाम रख सकते हैं, तो we called it धंधा. We started this platform mydhanda.com. Cut to that journey was also interesting. We had done multiple pivots, etc., in that business by the end, but we had raised some fair amount of capital. We had a small team of about 15-20 people, about 50 to 80,000 downloads on the platform itself, right? A bunch of merchants sort of using it across towns. Then we pivoted that to Bazaar, which was like a marketplace model, which was like on the ONDC sort of a platform, right? But yeah, and then 23, around the time when I was starting the community, is where I chose to shut down that sort of business. Then was running the community till this time.
And that is the question. Like you both are running this communities full time now, right?
Yes. Till now, I was, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you make money off consulting, etc. Community is not where I used to make or take home money from. While I used to make lucrative money, to be very honest, if you want to make money off it. But I never play a short-term game. So I was always like, let it compound in itself.
Right.
But now I've moved to run the nail care business full time. So the community, we've tried to automate that as much. You'll probably hear us doing like a rebrand, etc., in the next coming few weeks, because again, the intent, as we were also speaking backstage, is to communities have a certain scale which you can get to in India. It's much more appreciated and scalable outside.
Right.
So can you take it outside and then create a larger shelter, and of course keep India as a core component, right? But again, it definitely is a leverage which you can use to your personal benefit as well. To be very honest, you build community because it's not the not the Indian startup community, right? It's Tanishq who runs something,
Right.
right? So Tanishq will always be the host, right? Like Aditya and Suhas will always be the host, right? And people appreciate that. Oh, I met someone and this happened at your event, right? And it's like every other.
I'll give you a testimonial.
Yeah.
The T-shirt which I'm wearing is Census.
Okay.
Anuj was a part of your community. He's very down to earth, but I have attended his event and amazing experience, I would say, because
Exactly.
I never thought that a community will give so much of value.
Exactly.
So
Amazing, yeah.
congratulations on that,
Thank you,
because
so I'm
I
glad.
personally felt it was very welcoming. Everybody was actually putting efforts to do something. And as you
Awesome,
said, the
yeah,
right
absolutely.
mindset, the right intent comes together and
Together and-
doing it together. So
Super
great
good.
work on
Super
that. So that's the agenda now. Suppose, as I told you guys, right, like I want to build, let's say, the AI community of India, right, the biggest AI community of India. I am going to learn a lot from this podcast, because we are going to actually first burst the bubble regarding communities, because there are many bubbles regarding communities. And then we'll go to a customer journey, a consumer journey, and how to build a community, right? So my question to you guys is going to be very simple at the first thing and very raw, right? Communities क्या helpful सही में है? अगर है, so I want to, I mean, if you guys can take some names and some case studies which you have seen in your communities as successful case studies, which, I mean, helps people to understand that communities actually gives you business.
I think you gave a great testimonial about attending one event and then that translating into something valuable for you, right? So I think community is the way we approach it is, right? Again, like Tanish mentioned, same for us. We run it as a completely volunteer-driven non-profit way. There's nothing that we are trying to sell out of it, right? Like we are not trying to say that, hey, come to our community and here's something we are selling behind the scenes, right? Nothing of that sort. It's just about providing enough value to them, and in return, of course, it gives us access, it opens enough doors for us and stuff like that. But we look at it from a very transparent lens, right? When we started in year 1 or 2, when the community was picking up traction and when we started seeing members grow, we thought that, hey, let's provide open, accessible education, right?
Right.
Pick up any product management course in the market. It costs you somewhere between $3,000 to $5,000, right? Good ones. We thought, let's bring the best people in the world, not in India, right? Let's bring the best people in the world to teach product management and offer it for completely free, right?
Wow.
So our last we run some of the largest live learning cohorts, educational cohorts globally. Our last cohort had 30,000 people live, right? Like not many edtechs, in fact, funded edtechs have reached that scale. But what we did was bring people who are at the forefront of technology. So in our last cohort, we had the CPO of Tinder, the VP of product at Instagram, the director of product at YouTube, some like top folks on the valley, from India, from all across the world, to come and teach for completely free. Like you don't pay a single rupee, right? The only thing that you give is your time and attention and effort, right? And that's what it takes. So providing enough value is again a mindset thing, like you said, right? If you're trying to sell something, or if you are looking at it as a business, or if you have a business on the side and then you're looking at community as a forefront marketing gimmick for it, then it's not going to work.
Wow.
But if you are in it for the right reasons, if you are in it to provide value, you'll figure out ways, right? So we figured out education is a massive value add, right? None of us, like I personally don't come from a very, say, privileged background or from a tier 1 college or anything of that sort, right? So our idea was, can we make it so accessible that literally anyone can come, learn for free, and then make their careers for themselves, right? Because what we are providing is like a launch pad, and then everyone can figure out their own journeys, right? Learning is a big aspect. Networking, another great aspect, right? The example that you mentioned, tons of similar examples within our community as well, where people have come, they've either found jobs, people have met and become co-founders, raised money, went on to do great things together.
Can you support that with some references? Like,
I think one great example is a company called Pulse Energy. They recently raised around from Series A from Sequoia, but they met via the community, right?
oh wow.
We have also started investing in a bunch of companies now, right? So
Product folks is investing in companies.
Not as product folks, but we as founders, we
Okay.
try to, but of course we leverage TPF as a community and see how we can help them with distribution, with talent, with anything and everything that they need, right? So a bunch of founders where we are trying to help. We run a micro community called the Founder Folks, right? Which is only tailored to founders who need help with anything and everything, right? Again, there's no subscription fee, there's no ask as such, right? It's just a way to giving back, right? So we want to create a umbrella community where you can come from anywhere, you can be anyone, and you can still build a big enough name for yourself, right?
Wow.
So value addition to your question is just the it's just a thing of intent, right? How intentful are you about providing enough value, and how do you see at it? Like he said, right? It's not we are not in it for the short term, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it, say 5 years down the line, 3 years down the line, right?
Right.
We would be doing something else. But because we are here for the right reason, there are tons of communities like say SaaSBoomi or Head Start or bunch of different communities who are running it for decades now, right? And still providing great value to their members because the ethos is right?
Can you tell me about some of your events and how this event functions?
Huh.
And what is exactly that somebody who participates in the event
Huh.
get? Because see, I'll tell you very raw man thing, like a layman thing, right? And from a business perspective, I want to spend my time in a community if there is value.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
There is value or there is money.
100%.
Right? So value is for sure because obviously I'm going to meet so many people and that
Right.
can be a long-term business game.
Right.
So how this event functions, how this and that networking opportunity which you give in these events.
Right.
So if you can throw light on that.
Perfect. So we run different kinds of events for different people, right? It won't make sense if a junior guy is suddenly in the room with bunch of senior folks, right? They won't find enough value.
So there's a filtration process.
Right. So, but those are different events. For example, we do a bunch of events across cities for junior folks who are people who are getting started in product management or building products. And now with everything happening in AI, everyone is building products, right? So we create like open events for the community at the very early stage, right? These events are open and accessible for everyone. Later on, moving on to say mid to senior folks, we filter it out. So people with say 5 to 10, 12 years of experience, right? This format is called bits and atoms. So here, the general attendee would be say a senior PM at a Swiggy or a lead PM at Razorpay or similar profiles, right? Here the idea is to bring people together who are at a similar stage in their careers, right? So that they can benefit from each other. So that if they say something, they'll know that it will land well with the other person, right? If they're too far off from them, if they're too senior, obviously they won't be able to relate, right? Or if they're too junior, they won't find enough value. And at the very top end, we do leadership dinners. For example, we are recording this on Saturday now, and 25th we have like a roundtable dinner, and that dinner will be attended by some of the product leaders at some of the biggest banks in the country.
Biggest
banks in the country, right? Only 10 seats, and all 10 of them lead product verticals at some of the biggest banks and fintechs in the country, right? So the idea there is to bring people who are at the top of their game, have them together for an informal dinner, nothing too formal, because these guys won't find value in people in events of say 100 people, right? They might not be able to interact well, right? They might only be able to interact well with their peers from the industry, right? And generally they won't find avenues to catch up often, right? How often do you ping someone and ask them to catch up, right? Doesn't happen so often. Some people might still do it, but it has to be orchestrated, right? So communities like ours, communities like his, what we try to do is orchestrate ways in which people can network better with each other, right?
Amazing.
So different events, different agendas, different intent behind each of them, but the idea stays the same, right? Either you find enough value or you don't do an event altogether, right?
I mean, question to him now. So I'm very sure you would be knowing Rotary, BNI, such sort of communities, right?
Traditional communities.
I'm a part of it. And the agenda there is very simple that, hey, you go there, you give referrals, you take referrals, you give business, you take business in simple ways. And then they do many events. So to you, like how is Indian startup community different from them?
So these are more than communities, these are networks. And you have to understand the difference between a network and a community. By the way, both Rotary, be it these, right? It's like saying how an incumbent SaaS player is different with a new age startup, right? The point and the thought process, right? And by quality, I don't mean bad quality. I mean the just the rooms are really different, right? Like the startup founder, the startup muscle is very different to the traditional MSME sort of a business, right? So most of the folks in all of these networks, which are again by design structured as how do you call it?
Referral groups.
As referral groups for
More
SMEs.
transactional, I would say.
Very
SMEs,
transactional
yeah.
groups for SMEs, right? Community, I would say that community is like family. It's just a big, large, connected family,
Okay.
right? But even in this, right, like the way we look at it, right, and how he was also mentioning, right, you have to have and understand that not everyone is valuable for everyone, right? And how you were mentioning, yeah, I come here because I get this value. It's also about what value you provide in the room.
Right, right.
As someone who runs a community, you have to ensure not just the fact that what value can someone take, but what value can someone give,
Yeah.
right? So I think that is something which we focus on a lot. And in our head also, we have a clear division, because I'll tell you, right, like take any new founder, put them in a room with like say unicorn founder, they would have nothing to speak about.
Yeah.
You would have zero context of their lives, zero, like nothing to talk about, literally.
Yeah.
You'd just be pitching, you'd just be first start, like you'd be just gazing at them because you're just like, in a room where you have nothing to provide to them. Right. So anytime you want to figure out how a room works and functions, you need to ensure that people who are coming in can give value, can take value.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe give 19, take back 20.
Yeah.
Right. But that's how it works, right? So the core difference for us was to understand curation better, to make it more new age, more startup friendly, right? And look at different categories which these incumbent networks don't really look at. Like you would find a home baker or like an architect or all of these things. Those people, while they run great businesses, and kudos to them, I'm a fan of traditional dhanda businesses, right? I'm not the ones who be able to provide as much value to say startups or someone who's starting up, right? Like in maybe a tech space or a consumer brand or whatever, right? So that's where the major, I think, difference for us.
Okay, so the question for both of you: who can join? How they can join? Is there any payment fees to join? Like, how does this work? If you can answer, like.
Sure. I think for the payment part, both of our committees are completely free. So
And before you go ahead, I mean, if you can give a context, because there are so many people. I mean, my viewers are majorly investors, entrepreneurs for sure.
Yeah.
But still, there are viewers who does not understand what product management is. Right? If you can just give a context towards that, and then you can talk about this.
Okay, so explaining product management in very simple terms. Now, again, different definitions for different companies, and some people see it very differently, but I'll take it as a general purview of the function, right? Open any app in your phone right now, let's say WhatsApp, right? How does the tabs function? If you click on that button, what should open up? What will the user would want to see? What new features will have to be added? If I am able to video call, how many people can I video call at once? If I'm able to chat, if I send an emoji reaction, will that other person get notified, right? All of these decisions will have to be made by someone, and that someone is usually a product manager, right? And this function can change very drastically. For example, if you are building an early stage startup, a product manager will literally do anything and everything, right? Right from being the customer support executive to being the founder's office chief of staff to a developer's assistant to a designer's assistant. So it's a very humble job, I would say.
P&L owner.
Exactly. P&L owner, I would still say that it's debatable.
Okay.
There are business functions, there are revenue functions. Yeah. So a product, I would say, is like a advocate for the user in the room. For example, if you are building, let's say, Zomato, if I want, now I can't go and speak to 1,000 Zomato users, right? So a product manager's job would be to be the advocate for the user, to be the advocate for the founder, to be the advocate for the delivery riders in that case, be everyone's advocate and try and do the best for everyone.
Well
right?
put. Well put.
So that's the general purview. And again, like I said, like a 10-person startup would have a very different definition to if a MNC like say a Google or a Microsoft is hiring a product management, their function would be very different, right? But largely, if you were to understand product management, I think this 30-second summary should give
Yeah.
you some understanding, right?
I don't know.
I
So who
forgot
can
your
join
question.
him?
Yeah,
So who can
yeah.
join? So basically, all the
Ah.
product managers can join. Only product managers can join. Like how it is.
Perfect. So for the payment question, again, I'll answer for both of us that both communities are completely free, and that's how it'll always be, right? No paid, nothing against paid communities. They have a different way to provide value, but our community is completely free. Who can join? Anyone. Initially, when we started, it was anyone who is a product manager, but right now we have a bunch of different micro communities, right? So we have something for everyone. For example, we noticed that the gender ratio is very skewed in product management, right?
Oh.
So we launched a small community called Women in Product. Now, Women in Product does monthly events. There are a bunch of different activities that happen. Obviously, women only, run by an entire team of women volunteers, and it's largely aimed at, for example, we recently did a event at the LinkedIn office, right, where a few leaders from LinkedIn came and talked about how you can be better product managers at your workplace, right? So trying to do our fair bit of like ecosystem benefit from that angle, but literally anyone and everyone who thinks that they can build products can join the community now. Our Slack community is again openly accessible. It's one of the biggest Slack communities. Again, in India, we have
It's a mass game, right? It's a
yeah,
mass
yeah.
community.
Right, right. Our Slack is completely open, like 65,000 odd users in the Slack community.
Wow.
We have over, say, 200 WhatsApp groups that we run across cities, different functions. For example, we have something, we noticed that a lot of members in the community are fintech product managers, right? And we realize that fintech product management is so different from traditional product management because regulatory environment, you constantly have to see what's happening next. You constantly have to see how RBI can, influence your product roadmap, etc. So a bunch of different use cases. So we spun up a new community called the FinTech folks, right? So again, very small curated community, but entirely meant for FinTech, right? For example, the roundtable dinner that we are doing in a couple of days, that's entirely FinTech folks, right? So trying to do our part in pockets where we see enough value, but literally anyone who thinks that they want to build products right now with AI, literally everyone can do it, is welcome to the community, and again completely open and accessible.
So let's say I apply for the community, right? So is it like, are you going to do a filtration process? Because for him,
right.
I actually applied for his community.
Exactly.
So
correct.
So,
So,
how
for
the
example, we run our community in a bunch of different tiers, right? So these smaller groups, for example, for the fintech folks, you would have to go through a filtration process, right? But for the but for the open community, there's no filtration, right? So we provide enough value for the open community. We provide enough value for the curated. Again, women in product is again filtered, right? So only if you are, obviously, if you're a woman, if you work in a product function, and if you meet certain criteria, you'll be able to be a part of the women in product community, right? Same goes for the founder folks community that we run as well. Same goes for the fintech folks. So we run smaller curated communities, but the larger community is open and accessible and will stay that way. Yeah.
Amazing.
So three core stakeholders: founders, investors, and creators. I feel these are the three people who make the most impact. The builder, of course, the people who's putting in capital, and probably someone who can distribute it well. I see that there is a big overlap. So creators was more of a recent thing which we started looking at, right? But these are the three people we look at. Again, super curated, filtered process. The one person I have just does that, just curates and gets people in, right? We at any given point of time we have about 2,500 pending approvals to be there. We try to cover it up, it increases again to that. So it's like wavers between that number, right? Again, the thought process is that anything which is, we feel, anything which becomes too accessible, the value for that sort of degrades. It's just probably a mindset thing. But at the same point of time, we have our own limits in terms of how many people we think we can get value, right? And quality stays an important factor. And by quality, I do not mean to demean the fact that what someone is doing is not great, right? Just the fact that as I was telling you, right, you should also be someone who can provide value, right, and not just seek, right? If we see that there is some value which you can provide, you are at a certain stage, then, or at least the intent is great. In fact, we have people who've just started up, super like pre-seed, all the way up to like unicorn founders as well, who are a part of the community, right? So it's a very widespread community. We don't discourage someone from not applying, but we also have to be stringent, because otherwise you know how WhatsApp groups etc. work, right? They become spam houses, and when that happens, good high quality people don't stop responding.
And that is where my next question comes in. Like, should the communities be like everybody can be in the community, or it should be exclusive? It should be like scalable communities, or it should be exclusive? What do you guys think?
Scalable does not mean that I mean, in a way that it should just be exclusive or inclusive or whatever, right? You can be very curated and yet scale. Like, we're at 25,000 members today. Everyone's high quality, and would have like 100,000 people who would have applied, right? So like a 1 out of 4 person is still eligible and is still coming in. But I'm saying that I just want to ensure that whosoever comes in, like sometimes we have students etc. applying. We know that we can't add any value to them, neither can they add value to the people who are there in the community, right? As much as I would want to help them, unfortunately that's not a way. So I think if you want to grow and scale a community, the only thing you should be doing is just be disciplined enough and be at it, that you're just continuously doing what you're known to do.
Right.
Like, these people do 15 events a month even today. We end up doing 3-4 events a month. Every month on month we're doing something. And we also have a varied IPs, right? Every quarter we do a getaway. We're doing the next one in Sri Lanka next month. We keep on doing it, right? So the point is, with community, you have to just be disciplined to do it. It's how as a creator you have to create content. Tomorrow you create 2 podcasts, you stop at the 3rd, no one cares.
So can you guys just name some of the big names which are part of the community, and how are they? Because I remember when you start a community, and as I said, I want a roadmap of a community, right? So I'm starting an AI community tomorrow. So how do I start that? A. B. How do I get this big name so that everybody comes into the community? C. How do you make sure that the people are engaging in the community?
Right.
So if you can answer this would be the last segment of this particular community thing. So if you can answer this question.
I'm pulling it up.
So I think in terms of names, again, a bunch of them listed on the website, but recently when we hosted the conference, we had Kunal Shah, the founder of TED, joining in. We had Naveen, founder of InMobi, joining in. We had product leaders from literally the top 10-15 startups in the country. So we have hosted more than 500 leaders so far, right? And in a recent survey, we also chalked it up that 1 in every 3 product managers in the country is part of the community, right?
So as a 5-year-old kid, I'm asking you a very silly question. So if I be a part of this community, can I get the access to these people?
Honestly, no, because like he said, right? If you're a student, the value you're looking for will not come from these founders, right? The value will come from maybe education, right? So we cater to in one segment we cater to students as well, right? And the value that we can provide them is high quality education, right? So Kunal Shah coming and talking about how he has built the brand and how he runs his business is insanely valuable for anyone and everyone, right? So that's a value that a person in the community like him can provide to, say, a college grad, right? But access is obviously limited, and it's curated only for people who might be able to, like, to his point, right? If there is enough give and take, you can access them, right? But for a new guy coming into the community, it won't make sense for him, it won't make sense for them. So we don't enable open access to leaders in the community, but what we do is enable high quality education for them via these people. So
Your names.
So I was actually looking at it. I don't know if you're allowed to share that, right? But essentially, again, I had done this experiment where so we have this entire database. We use this platform called as NAS, right, to sort of get. So it has all the names of the people who are there. So everyone, our community, I ran this experiment where we have this filtered mechanism. I was very keen on day one that everything should be in a database.
Okay.
even if less people turn up coming into the community, they should be in a database. So you have this layered mechanism. You go to the website, you apply, you fill a form. Only then,
Okay.
be a unicorn founder, you be anyone, you have to fill
Fill
that
the form.
form, right? So then what I did was I took the database, put it in GPT, and then asked, make a combined, divide founders, divide investors, okay? Make a combined valuation report of
Nice.
all of these companies who are there,
Nice.
and make a valuation, like a total AUM report
Nice.
of all the investors which are there.
Mm.
The investor AUM, when we sort of totaled it down, was closer to 20 billion.
Insane.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was again surprising, 20, 25 billion sort of a number, right? And this I experimented a couple of months ago actually. And the founder valuation is sort of like putting it down like closer to 100 billion.
Crazy.
Like in terms of the, again, we have founders who are.
And you say that you're just
500
1/5 of him.
No, I think it's just
Crazy
like
number,
people,
yeah.
people who are there, right? I think, but that is what we realized, right? I think, see, in the VC ecosystem, essentially, there are only 300 to 400 real top VCs who exist.
Yeah.
High probability that we've covered and captured at least 85% of them who are a part of our community.
Right.
Okay, from the top names, top like the best of the funds, you would sort of find at least VCs. So we know that on the VC side we've covered everyone, right? On the founder side, we're still like gaining traction. We want to move towards getting in better founders. But yeah, I think that will come over a period of time. So let's see where that goes.
Makes sense. So, I mean, as I said, right? So the last myth which we have to break, how do you make sure that your community is engaging? Because 1000 लोग एक साथ आ रहे हैं, 500 लोग एक साथ आ रहे हैं, 100 लोग एक साथ आ रहे हैं.
Right.
I come in an event, I just don't want to just exchange the business card.
Yeah.
I want to make something out of it, right? So again, the intent is not obviously to get money, right? Intent is maybe value in whatever XYZ way.
Right.
But as a community manager, right? I want to run an AI community,
Yeah.
right? So how do I make sure that people are coming every single day for every event, they are participating? Because I remember Tanish, messaging me that he's doing an event in Rajasthan.
Yeah.
And there are 25 people coming in. So I was like, there would be a limit, and he's just targeting 25 people, and he's able to fulfill it, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's like, guest list, there is a list, waiting list. So, इतनी engaging community कैसे बना दिया आपने?
So I'll answer that. Like, I'll tell you the only job as, and I think he can second me or on that. I don't know if it makes sense, but the only job of a community manager is to curate the right room.
Yeah.
The rest is human psychology, right? I put you in room with anyone, leave you both outside. Would you not talk with them? Of course you would talk with them. You would figure out a way to talk, to chat, find a common topic, etc. Right? And you would have something to talk about. The point is, if in a room there are right type of people, they will always find a way to engage themselves. You do literally, like, we don't have to do anything literally to engage except for giving a platform. Right? So it's just platform and curation. These are the only two things you have to be good at. Give them great platform, give them great curation. Now, platform could be any, offline, online, wherever, right? Are you giving them the right mechanism? How do you mechanism to function? And that's it. That's all you really essentially need to do. That's what I feel.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. Again, foundationally, this is exactly what we do as well. Sometimes, whenever when we cater to people who might not be as socially interactive, right? So we try and include ways of engagement within the. For example, in our conference, we had different colored ID cards, right? So and it signified something, right? So for example, if you're a growth leader, you would have like a green ID, right? Or if you're a product leader, you would have like a purple ID or what similar stuff, right? So what it does is it kind of sparks those initial conversations, but at the end of the day, what he said is completely true, right? If you curate a good room, you won't have to worry too much, right? But curation is the biggest thing, and I think since you mentioned about engagement, right? Most communities die because they don't offer enough, right?
Right.
They don't offer enough value. They don't do it enough number of times. He mentioned in one of the answers that, when we started, right, there were a couple of product communities that had began, right? Most of them stopped doing events like 6 months down the line, right?
Okay.
And for us, we literally, it's been 5 years and almost like 60, 65 months. There has not been a single month where we haven't done an event, right? Even
Wow.
during COVID, we used to do online
Yeah.
events. But there is no other answer. You simply need to do it day in, day out for a couple of years until you start seeing value, right? A lot of companies that start experimenting with communities, they look at it as a marketing campaign. It simply doesn't work, right? Like, communities happen because there is trust, right? Of course. So if I pick anyone from his community and if I ask them about him, they would have good things to say about him, right?
Always. Yeah.
And that comes with trust. It won't happen when they attend one of his events. It will happen when they attend a couple of events, when they see him doing a good job at it,
Right.
when they see him time and again for years, right? When they realize that, okay, I can trust this person, that he's doing something for the ecosystem, right?
Right.
So that trust comes once you offer enough value over a long enough period of time, right? But most people simply don't have enough patience or the rigor to do something day in, day out for a couple of years. So yeah.
Amazing. So when we talk about the room setup, right?
Yeah.
As you mentioned that if I enter a room
Hmm.
and I am meeting, because I know that he has top tier 1 investors, top tier 1 founders, and you have top tier 1 product managers. Now I enter a room. Suppose I'm from a tier 2, like I am from some tier 2 city or tier 3 city, and I'm entering into a room. I somehow feel that I don't belong to this room
Yeah.
because what happens in tier 1 is a very different story in tier 2. There are no
Right.
opportunities there. And when I come here, I feel so overwhelmed.
Right.
Okay, what is happening in the world? Will I be a misfit in the room?
Right.
So how do you make these people comfortable, which I'm very sure you guys have tier 2 and tier 3 founders also in their
Yeah,
ecosystem. So how do you make them comfortable? How does things like work there, and how this community is helping them?
I think we have some data from close to about 60 or 60, 70-ish cities where people are from, probably more. I actually recently attended an event in Jaipur. Okay. And when I talk to people here, and when I talk to how, like, people in tier 2 are sort of, working, the way they talk, etc., right? I mean, you can figure out there's a disconnect in terms of context, right? Context about the ecosystem, about how the world sort of really sort of functions like, right? Their aspirations are different, but at the end, I also see a lot of innovation happening, right? So I know for a matter of fact that tier 2, tier 3 folks do come with lesser context of how things work here. But I think it's the same with us going to, say, let's say you and I, we all go to a Bollywood party, we'll be clueless.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Unless we actually, start being around the ecosystem, right?
Right.
So your only intent, when I was an outsider, I was also like, hey, I don't know what's going on. But there is this thing which I believe is you have to fake it till you make it. I don't know how, but you have to fit in.
Wow.
You have to find a room where you continuously try to get in. Somehow you get in, you stay there. And then after a point, that one superpower, at least for me, and I'll tell you, was coming in as an absolute outsider, no connections to the ecosystem whatsoever, to being pretty much in the center to sort of grow it, right? Has been that you have to show up, and I showed up
Yeah.
every time. And I was telling you, right, like last 2 years I've been to these 16, 17 cities. I've traveled myself, been at an event. We've met at events in Bangalore, in Delhi, wherever.
Yeah.
Right? You would find him, me, you'll find us. Right. The point is, we were also like, he comes from a background where there is no chance that we were made to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. We were not, in farthest terms, the
Yeah,
people who would have actually done this, right? The only thing which led us to do this was the fact that we always showed up. So even if you're coming from tier 2, 3, in today's world, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you show up, if you will ensure that you're taking enough context, and when you talk and have a conversation with anyone, right? If you have enough context to give, enough context to get, you're sorted, right? Like, then you see large outcomes coming out. Like, today, India's largest D2C exit is minimalist, which is from Jaipur,
Yeah.
right?
True.
You see, I mean, so the point is that, you know, I feel that it is not about you being an insider, outsider, tier 1, tier 2.
Yeah.
It's purely your hustle in terms of how you want to hustle.
Yeah.
Where you come from, where you belong from is your fate.
True.
That's not in your hand. What's in your hand is the fact that, अच्छा यार मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ?
Right.
Yeah.
Wherever I come from the most privileged background to then saying कि मैं कुछ भी नहीं करूँगा, to you coming from absolute nowhere to hustle your way through. Again, that's all your fate. But what you do is in your hand.
No, so
I
I
feel
mean,
that's
see,
what I
I'm a
feel.
let's assume that I'm from a tier 2 and tier 3.
Yeah.
I'm a solopreneur because obviously I don't have the resources and the team,
Yeah.
right? And I went to an event in Product Folks. Right? So the point is, I really don't know how to scale a startup. And first of all, now, as you know, like with AI and everything coming in, solopreneurs can actually scale a business in a very sustainable way.
Right.
And he has a community specifically with D2C.
Yeah.
I connect. There are so many D2C founders who are solopreneurs.
Yeah.
Right. So, question is community, right? So let's say I don't have a team.
Huh.
I'm coming to you, but how do I get a support from you guys, right?
Right.
How do I get a support from the whole community
Right.
if I'm a solopreneur?
Right.
So can you just give some, like maybe a WhatsApp group, people are very responsive. Like what are the ways that I get comfortable
Right.
as a solopreneur?
I think even when I had thought of it, right, the ecosystem in a way is super, super supportive.
Yeah.
The only thing which you should know is you should just learn how to ask.
Ask. Yeah.
How to network?
Yeah.
No, just ask.
Ask. Yeah.
In fact, directly, you will be surprised as to if you just ask directly
Yeah.
that, hey, can you do this for me? Hey, can someone do this for me? Someone will show up and be like, ki, we'll help you. Right? This is literally, I mean, I can show you like our WhatsApp group post this pod, right? Like we have people who ask most basic things. कि अरे मेरे को यहाँ पे दिल्ली में पैकेजिंग वाला चाहिए, कौन कर देगा? 10 लोग मैसेज करेंगे ये कर. Right? The point is people are always willing to help because they know it comes back to them.
Right.
It's organic.
So why would they not help, right? So people are, you just need to learn how to ask the right things.
Exactly.
You asked us that, hey, would you spend some time with me? I'm trying to do a pod, this, that, right?
Yeah.
We complied because that's what people do. People comply with requests.
Right.
Yeah.
You just have to request. I think people
exactly.
will always comply.
Yeah.
At least the majority will.
Majority. Yeah.
Amazing.
And just as an experiment, right? Like whoever is watching, no matter where you come from, right? Do this simple exercise. Just pick your top 10, 20, whatever founders, right?
Yeah.
Pick a list. You'll find emails easily if you're smart enough, right?
I'll give that trick.
Yeah. Just mail them asking for something, right? It could be, obviously you need to put in effort in your ask, but just drop a mail to these founders and ask what you need, right? And put in enough substance behind it. I can guarantee you that
100%.
the number of responses that you'll receive is far more than you would imagine, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can say this
with
because
people you can't even think of being in rooms.
Yeah. For example, like anyone, pick anyone, like literally the biggest of the founders, just email them asking for, make it a fair ask and make it worth their time and see how many people respond. Just do this as an experiment. It will give you immense confidence that you can come from anywhere and you can go anywhere if you ask the right people the right questions. Yeah.
Amazing.
And you need to be supportive, man. I'll give you a very good thing, right? So, not a tier 2, tier 3 founder. There's a founder probably lives in Thane. Started a new sort of beverage brand, some soda brand. No sugar, no nothing. He had some innovative product, right? So I was doing this event with the best, like it was an LPGP sort of an event. So I was getting some investors, etc. Right? So it was majorly an investor event. Yeah, this kid wrote to me very sweetly that, hey, you know what? I would love to be a part of this in some way. This is what I'm doing.
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, what is the stage of your product, etc. Right? So it was like, yeah, मैं तो बस सभी product बना रहा हूँ, but मैं testing. I'm like, तो आज तू test करेगा. And I'm telling you, after that event, right, the amount of gratitude that founder had, that someone gave him that, and I'm not saying that I'm giving opportunities to people. I'm just saying that the gratitude which someone had after getting an opportunity is great, and you will feel great about yourself once you give them, because someone else gave us an opportunity as well. Exactly. That's why we were able to do what we are doing. People gave us that opportunity. It's our duty to pass it on.
Hmm.
And I think in the ecosystem, you'll be surprised as to there are really good people, really great people
Yeah.
who do not think in a zero sum sort of a fashion, right?
Right.
They think that यार आपके अच्छा होने से हमारा तो बुरा नहीं हो जाएगा, तो आपका अच्छा कर लेते हैं.
Yeah.
And that is what your thought process should be.
Right.
And then I don't think it's a challenge anymore. Access, etc. is not a challenge today.
And India is such an early ecosystem, right? We
Ah,
are
yeah,
in the nascent,
Nascent,
yeah,
very
literally
nascent stage.
very.
In-
If you see the US ecosystem or pick any other mature ecosystem globally, right? You'll notice that we don't have to fight each other, or we don't have to we gain nothing, right? All of us are trying to. You'll see that a lot of SaaS founders now are trying to sell in the US, and you'll see like people supporting each other, right?
Right.
There are enough communities like SaaS Boomi, etc., right? They are providing enough resources, value to founders anywhere and everywhere, irrespective where you come from, right? When we do events we have started doing a lot of events in tier 3 cities, right? And we see the number of people that turn up and the number of like interesting insights in the room, etc., is like
Amazing.
palpable, like that. That's infectious. The kind of people that show up, right? So if you are smart enough, I think you don't even need to worry about access or
Got it.
obviously you need to have a network, you need to build a network, but you don't need to come from a IIT or a top tier institute to be able to do that.
True.
So
I'm building an AI community. As it's going to be niche towards AI agents. Any founders, SMBs, etc., want to build AI agents. I mean, they can come to the community for free, learn about AI agents, and no code as a platform also. As we saw Lovable, as we saw Cursor, these platforms are killing it in the market. But still, it's new. People don't know how to learn about it. So what I picked from you is how about giving this as a free education, right? And not charge anything for that.
Right.
I build a community around this. Eventually, my major point or where the bottleneck which I'll face is bringing people in the community, bringing the good people in the communities, the brands in the community in AI, like let's say Varun Maya or something like Ansh Mehra, right? So if I build an AI agent to run this community, because currently you guys are managing it by yourself, but let's say I want to build an AI agent who is actually the face of the community, right? Is this a good opportunity there? Do you think it will survive?
I don't think so, honestly, because people associate a community with the face, right? If I say TISC, they'll associate it with him. If I say the product code, they'll associate it with us, etc. Right? So you need to be, I think, be the face of it. It's a very I would equate it to hospitality, right? If you walk into
Kitchen without a chef ho jayega.
Exactly, yeah. If you walk into a Taj and if you see like a robot greeting you versus a receptionist who knows you by your name, who knows your preferences, etc., the experience is vastly different, right? So I think there are some businesses businesses or rather services which would benefit more from human interaction than an AI agent, right? And it will become even more so apparent because everyone will start using AI to cut costs and to do things in a more efficient manner. But in that day and age, people who include that human touch will be far more relevant is what I think.
Makes
I could be
sense.
wrong there, but I think now the way we are since manufacturing got automated, etc., food items started being processed, you now see brands emerge which promise artisanal or which promise hand churned or handmade, etc., right? So they have gained a new relevance because everything else is automated, right? Well, I see a similar shift happening in the community space as well. No matter how much you automate, no matter, you can obviously automate your processes, your manual tasks, you can everything that happens behind the scenes. That's completely fair, but you can't automate it to be the face of it, right? So that's what I think.
Agree?
Same. Okay, so I have a rapid fire round for you guys, and it's going to be very, very specific questions. Whoever can answer. So let me pull this off. Okay, so the first question, right? Anybody can answer. have you guys found an overrated founder personality people worship but they shouldn't in the community?
I think
I
that
don't
being
think
an
you should
asshole,
answer that.
to be a good founder, you need to be an asshole
Right.
kind of personality, right? And wrongly popularized
Yeah,
from Steve
not-
Jobs and Elon Musk.
Right.
Not that they succeed because of that, but people try to emulate that without being equally skillful, right? And they feel that because they are a founder, they are higher up than everyone else, right? Morally and other
Yeah.
in other ways.
So what do you
right?
do in this situation? You remove them from the community?
No, I'm. Acha, being a part of our community. So, see, in our community, we have like a very clear set of guidelines that if you disrespect, if you abuse, if you know, do anything that a normal human being wouldn't do, right? In a normal setting, and it's a very clear distinction, right?
Right.
You know how to talk to people, you know how to be with people, etc. Right? If you break those boundaries, we simply remove you, right?
Okay.
If you are being too salesy too often, we remove you, etc. Right? And with all humility, there's nothing wrong against it, just that this isn't the right platform for it,
Okay.
right? But yeah,
A startup space that's about to collapse. I think you can answer that. You have so many startups, in your community.
I'm actually thinking, what could. I mean, recently you do see a lot of attacks sort of going for a toss, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that there's scope in that industry. It's fairly large. It's just that by default it was like an omni sort of a space. I also think because I have a little bit of a context on the creator commerce space, right? A lot of money went in too soon without understanding the space. So there are some platforms who are doing really well, but there's a lot of faff sort of around, building. See, everything can't be made into a platform, I feel, right? So so that I think there are businesses where if you put this entire mat down, which I can just take another like 10-20 seconds to answer this, right? In India we do this math where, hey, is putting software faster or putting an intern and a human sort of faster?
Right.
So then when you do, so someone was telling me that they had this accountant versus they had this invoicing software. They realized that the
subscription
cost
fee is higher.
the cost per invoice were like $5 with the software and 3 with like the guy,
human,
right, with the human, right? So sometimes you have to equate that. So a bunch of such industries which exist, but yeah, majorly what I've seen.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
And you never know what can collapse, right? Like what we saw with Blue Smart right now. You can't imagine. You don't know what's really going
even
on.
the Web3 space.
In the Web3 space, I mean, they have been front runners in knowing about the Web3 space. It was everything. It was NFT. So many things, right? Like what is happening now. So I mean, you never know what goes.
so buzzword in VC startup world you would ban forever.
I would ban.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would ban. Good question, actually. In VC and startup both, are you saying? Or are you saying VC in
VC startup space? I mean, as a space.
VC with content. Okay, I would ban controversial, but funds calling them early stage when they are not really early stage.
I get the context.
Yeah.
Okay, great. A community trend you think is complete BS?
I think thinking of it as a marketing channel.
Okay,
A
amazing.
lot of people build communities so that they can save money on marketing. They think that community will help me with distribution, and first I'll acquire the community and then I'll sell something to them, right?
Wow.
That I think is complete BS. I feel if you're looking at it that way, might as well call it as a marketing thing, but terming it as community, then doing it as a facade and then selling something behind the scenes, that I feel is not right.
Okay. If I had 1 lakh
Yeah.
and wanted to build a community today, what's the one thing you make me do?
I think
We'll consult you for the land. 50 each.
good answer.
Okay.
Good answer.
Okay. So
Good use at that lakh.
Yeah.
okay. So I want to ask you, Tanishq, a very important question, right? So we have seen that today funding is happening because of communities. Okay. Till the time you don't refer, the funding is not happening.
He's the
You are
gatekeeper.
you are the gatekeeper. So we have seen that, and we have seen in the investment space, you and me both know about that अगर ये investor invest नहीं करता तो तब तक मैं नहीं करूंगा मतलब, and we have seen in the Shark Tank, exactly Shark Tank में तो open है, right, कि अमन करेगा तो ही मैं करूंगा because वो subject matter expert है. We have seen that also, and seen the reverse case also. So why is this biasness coming?
See, I'll tell you from my end, I'm no gatekeeper. First off. I don't know
Clearing
why
his image,
people think.
making it clear.
Yeah, I don't know why people think like everyone's accessible. The good part is because I have an access to the VC ecosystem, and bunch of them are my friends, right?
Right.
So I treat them as friends. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to refer my friends to the right people who I find that there is enough, like what they're doing is nice, and I know a bunch of them well. So I think that yes, communities do act as catalyst and um, probably what discovery sort of ground for both, right? And that's what the essence of the community is, right? When you it's founder and investors like demand and supply coming together.
Yeah.
And now I'm just the fact that who's ensuring that the demand and supply is meeting each other, right? So and I'm more than happy if something good happens to someone.
Yeah.
Why not?
Got it.
Right? We know in today's day and age, people require capital, and VCs need to deploy.
But do you think funding tomorrow will be only happening, the due diligence process, what we say, is going to be done by you guys? Like you become the report card of all these startups.
In fact, the ecosystem is so small that diligence is actually your credibility preceding you.
Yeah.
So if tomorrow Adi goes in a certain room, I go in a certain room, maybe, right? The point is people will know of them or would be like, would have heard. And the point is the only thing you should be maintaining in the ecosystem is your name.
Right.
Because your credibility will 110% precede you in any room you go. After a point you're at least there in the ecosystem for a bit, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure.
So all the product managers that, at the last question which I want to ask you,
Yeah.
is something known as build in open, right?
Yeah.
All the entrepreneurs, product managers,
Yeah.
are talking about build in open, social media, leveraging
Yeah.
social media. I see a trend which goes in automate and open, right? Now people are talking about how did they automate their product, product development to sales to marketing, etc. Do you think product managers are relevant in next 5 years? If yes, how?
I think interestingly, I've been reading all sorts of things because you're part of this industry, right? But I think in a very contrarian way that product managers will probably lead the next wave of tech products, right? Because if you look at it, right, if I were to take Lovable or a Cursor or a Windsurf or whatever equivalent tool, right? If I have enough product sense, if I have good intuition about what the users want, I can probably design and develop it, stitch it together and build a decent product, right? I think generalists, people who know how to get things done, they'll be in massive demand, right? People who can leverage their sense, their intuition, their taste. I think it's a recent trend where people have started talking about taste, right? Whether you can sense things well, right? Whether you have a good eye for it, whether you have a good knack for it. Like Tanish was talking in one of his answers, if he has a good design sense, he can get the job done without a designer by using a tool, right? So I think in that sense, I feel product managers will be relevant for sure, maybe in a different shape or form. But I see the amount of responsibility that they get continue to become higher, right? And the other question, build in open, I think there's this very interesting concept called increasing the surface area of luck, right? Building in open, I see it as that way, right? If you are building in open, if I say that, hey, today I struggled with this and this is what I was doing and I faced a challenge. Previously, you would be in a room, maybe you'll contact your friends, you'll ask them about it. But now that you're building in open, a lot more people care about your success, right? They're part of the journey. They'll see it as their success when you win, right? So if you're building in open, I think you're just increasing your surface area of luck where you kind of constantly are putting things out, good and bad both, and being very accountable for both of it equally. And you'll build a tribe where people will support you, right? And everyone knows that to build anything of substance, it takes a village, right? So you need that village to be supporting you all throughout. So that's what I think.
I'll give you my perspective towards product
Yeah.
managers. I mean,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what I look like is a formula, a simple formula.
Huh.
AI generalist,
Yeah.
right? Prompt engineering
Hmm.
and vibe coding
Yeah, yeah.
and sales.
Right.
If you merge this all,
Huh.
I think that's the future of product managers.
Yeah, that is true. But had you even heard of the term vibe coding, say, a year back?
No.
No, right?
No.
So maybe 6 months down the line, there'll be something new, right?
Hmm.
We don't even know it
It's ever
yet. That's the I think opportunity also, right? If you're agile enough, if you're nimble enough, all of the things that you mentioned, probably they'll be relevant, they'll not be relevant. I don't know. But say 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, whatever is helping you do the job faster, better, if you are able to leverage it and do something good for whatever you're doing, right?
Hmm.
You'll win. I think it's as simple as at the end. क्या चाहिए लोगों को? What do people want, right?
Right.
They want something which will benefit them.
Hmm.
If you can give it to them from a very foundational point of view, right? If you can give it to them in a very sustainable manner, in terms of time, effort, and money, they'll buy it. As simple as that, right?
I mean, you just spoke about like how people are going to support each other and as a
yeah.
family, right? I mean, if let's say, he wins for his startup,
Yeah.
I'm very sure the people in the community basically maybe uploads a video on social media.
Yeah.
And you feel that everybody is actually, because social media works on commenting,
Yeah.
sharing, etc.
Right.
Even this podcast for a fact.
Yeah.
Right. So, do you think that your community comes together at that time when a founder needs you the most? Or a product manager
100%.
needs you the most?
100%. I think there are countless examples where someone will put up a request on any of those groups, and there'll be so many people just willing to help for nothing in return, right? They're not getting anything out of it. They're just helping for the sake of helping, right? Because someone would have helped them too, right? And it sounds cliche, but everyone believes in just supporting each other, right? Very few people where people are trying to pull each other down. Doesn't happen anymore. I think if you are part of the community, people will help you, support you. Someone just recently, said in one of our volunteer groups. So we have a lot of volunteers in our community. Someone just shared that how they cracked a role in one of the top startups in the country by volunteering, by being part of the community, etc. Right? And everyone was super happy that day, and everyone was congratulating them and telling them good things about how they grew. Right?
Amazing.
So I think those things will keep happening, and we try to nurture our share of it. But I think everyone's super supportive for sure.
On the end, your best AI tool and your best AI tool. And how do you, leverage AI into your communities?
A very controversial answer, but I'll tell you, the only best AI tool is ChatGPT.
ChatGPT, yeah.
There is nothing else in the world.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you a short example. Like just before, like 10 minutes before the podcast start, he asked me one question. He asked me something like a math question, right? It was like some complex that how would this? He's planning some product launch and stuff like that. He asked me some question, and just before he finished the question, I had opened ChatGPT and was typing it, right? And by the time he finished the question, he opened ChatGPT as well. And I showed him that, see, I was typing the same question on ChatGPT.
Wow.
So that's the state of AI right now.
Answer, man.
Where
That's the only answer.
if you have a calculator, why would you do mental maths, right?
Yeah.
Similar, everything is.
And we're calling it like unpaid intern.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, guys. I think it was a super value add.
Awesome.
To build a community and what we get from communities. A little touch, obviously, on the AI part and how AI is going to be relevant. So, definitely going to be in touch with both of you. I'm going to get mentorship from biggest communities. But yeah, but yeah, thank you so much to bless this podcast. Hope everybody who is in their communities are sharing like whatever you're doing on this show, because these people, not for me, it's for them. Like they are working hard to build these communities. So maybe from the chat, from the comment section, people come and be a part of these communities.
Done.
So great. Thanks, Yash. And I just want to share you on that. It takes a lot of effort record. We do a lot of podcasts, so I know that there are so many people. I think about
Thanks to the
10
team.
people,
We feel a
10
bunch
people
of
sitting
people
behind
at the
the
team.
camera. They just recorded a podcast before this, etc. Super hectic for them as well. So putting out value, putting out content takes time and effort. So kudos to you and your team. I hope people find value. We were rambling around, but I hope people find value. And all the best for your AI community. We are here for
Thank you so much.
anything and everything that you need.
For sure.
But thank you. Yeah.
Thanks
Thank
so
you so
much.
much, guys.
Thank you. Chalo.